Today I'm going to take a stroll around one of my favourite golf courses, but we're also going behind the scenes to understand what it takes to operate as an elite level golf club and maintain those high standards. And I'll also be speaking with a man who I consider to be a visionary within the golf industry.
It's been a massive success story where the club sort of, when I started, put a line in the sand and said, like, we're going to start investing into our facilities, into our golf course. And whether that was me getting the job or anyone, they made a commitment to start investing in the golf course, and they've invested, and it's been amazing. I think it's a huge success story for the golfing industry, certainly, and golf in the Northwest.
And yes, everyone at Wallasey should be extremely proud of what they've achieved over the last 5 years, because they've literally transformed a golf club that was always very good into something that is highly regarded as one of the best golf courses in the UK right now.
In the last 5 years, certainly since November 2020 when I joined, how the golf course has moved forward and developed has been astounding, really, and that's something that I'm really proud of how the greenkeeping team is, but some of the metrics on how the golf club is performing over the last 5 years, and I think that's down to not me, it's down to the board of the golf club and the vision and drive of the chairperson and the chairman of the club over the last 5-6 years. But certainly in the last 2 years, the golf course, when I started, was ranked around 160 in Great Britain and Ireland. And over the last 2 years, all of the main sort of ranking panels, whether that's Golf Monthly, Today's Golfer, Golf World, Wallasey has gone from around 160 in Great Britain and Ireland into the top 80, and we're expecting improvements on going from around 80th into the top 60, into the top 50. And when you get to the level of sort of around top 100 in Great Britain and Ireland, you very rarely see a course move more than 3-4 places up or down. It's quite hard to infiltrate that top 100. So to go from 160 to the top 80 and you jump in 80 places is really unusual.
That was the closest I've ever come to birdie on the third hole. I've had a couple of holes to warm up, and then I didn't put the camera on for the third because I normally make an absolute mess of it, but that putt, would you believe, was for birdie. But I feel like it's here where you start to climb up a little bit, you start to see the views, and Wallasey really starts to come to life from here on in. can't believe that. That was for, well, what would have been back-to-back birdies, 2 stopped in the jaws. How good are the greens? We are literally in the first week of April, and they've had, or I was told they've been sanded this morning, which will take a little bit of pace out of them, but they run so pure. The condition is just unreal.
How they set up an Open or a Ryder Cup, we can replicate the operational procedures at Wallasey, what they do for an Open. So every day, the processes in place to set up a major event, we follow that at Wallasey for our daily setup. So that is, we have a member of staff that will go out and detail the whole golf course. So they'll move every tee marker, they'll pick up every tee, they'll replace every divot on the tee, or obviously repair every divot on the tee. They'll empty all the bins, they'll wipe down the tee markers, and they'll spend 5 hours going around in order, detailing the golf course to the same level of attention to detail that you would expect at an Open Championship venue. Also, we then set out the tees mowers in the same order. They'll go out and cut tees, and they'll go round in order, and they'll sweep the course, and they'll work with the same intensity and detail as they do in the Open. Same with the fairway mowers. So, and we will flow around the golf course and detail that with high precision, and it takes 5 hours to get round and to detail that golf course. So we're in mid-March now. So. We've got construction work going on, but we've had one member of team working in order, doing every divot on every tee, moving every tee marker, making sure there's no litter, there's no debris. They switch every single worm cast on every tee, and their duty today is to work at an elite high level. So the first golfer, there's not one tee peg they can pick up, there's not one tee which has got no divots repaired. And again, today we've changed holes, so the guy changing holes today will have gone around the full golf course in order, making sure every pitch mark sort of repaired, every green switched and tidied up. So once it's a process, and you live and breathe by that process, it's a basic process how we operate, but it's the same level of intensity and attention to detail as a major event, and we do that every day, and that's just a decision to us that we don't cut corners on our daily setup. We've got our basic standards, and our basic standard for the whole team is to work at a level with a high level of attention to detail. I visited a lot of the top 100 golf courses in the world, and again, I'm obviously touched on looking at the grass and the culture, but I'm also looking at the attention to detail and like the details that separate a top 100 in the world golf course for a golf course which is top 100 in Great Britain and Ireland. And a lot of the time it's the finer details, it's the quality of the embroidery on the flag, or the flag pins, or the tee markers, how unique they are and how bespoke they are. What are the bunker rakes like? So it's something that I'm really take a lot of pride in, and also I've got sort of a high level of detail in what we're presenting on the golf course. So we're really doubling down on the visitor journey. So from arriving in the car park, and what's the signage like? What's the welcome? So we've done work on the golfers' reception. We've put like a mural of the golf course, a big picture. We've put the home of Stableford on sleepers, and so some of this at the start, there was bigger fish to fry, so we couldn't really double down on the detail as much because there was more priorities. So that's where we talk about, it's not about we couldn't do it, but we had bigger priorities. But when now the golf course is getting a little bit more high level and where we want it, we can really start to really focus on the finer details and the player journey and experience.
Well, that's been a great deal of talking from me on the front nine, and we've just arrived on the 9th hole. And to be honest with you, you'd rather listen to John than me. This is all about the golf course and what's gone on. But I've just gone onto the new 9th tee, and you've seen a lot of grass pathways, a lot of conversations about them and how they kind of sweep the way all through the golf course itself. It's incredible, it's like walking on carpet. And 9 has been a new tee box that has got that new sweeping grass pathway up to it, elevated position, and then we can make our way back off the other side. And from the drone footage, I've got a decent ball pin eye, which was nice. And then we make our turn round and we'll go and have a look at 10, which again, there's quite a few changes over the last few years. I must confess, what's just happened was not as planned. The 11th hole is again one of my favourites. I seem to say that quite a lot at Wallasey. And the tee shot seemed a little bit down the left. And we walked all the way down the left-hand side, till right the way up here, and then realised the ball was in the middle of the fairway. So I walked back down the middle of the fairway with a club which looked like the distance. I had a 6-iron and I was 118 yards away down breeze. So that shot I've just manufactured was, well, pretty pleasing. Anyway, the point of all that is, you join us live for a birdie putt and you one, because I've struck the ball pretty decent, to be fair. I haven't managed to find the bottom of the cup. The camera being on, I think that's going to spur me on. That was terrible and absolutely shocking. No conviction whatsoever, and a misread. So what was a really well struck tee shot, a 6-iron, manufactured 6-iron that Sevy would have been proud of, and then a putt that was bloody awful. Never mind, how good is that? Well, we've just left my bag and done a reverse, because when you walk up here, the first thing you see is a tee box that is, well, as flat and as cut as neatly as many greens you will play. But then it's what it kind of reveals when you get to the edge of it. And that's probably, there's a 12th hole. And like I said, I've played here many times for many years, and that is as good as I have ever seen it. It really does rival a kind of postage stamp. Those, what is it, 5 bunkers we've got waiting to grab your ball, and a fairly small target with a lot of movement in it. But how good is that? And that's the kind of, that's the changes. This is one hole in particular where the visual changes are so significant. It's incredible to see. 12th hole, didn't mention back on the tee, is one of the original greens as laid by old Tom Morris himself. And there's all little bits of kind of, well, that attention to detail that give you that little history lesson. You'll see on this flag exactly what I mean, but there's some brass plates around. You've seen the Frank Stableford mention. You'll see a little bit more from old Tom Morris elsewhere. But it's these nice little touches that mean this is kind of an experience, as I've said, on a golf course, not just a mere 18 holes.
And of course, it's over to you for Photo of the Week. Good luck.
The work is having a positive impact on the local economy and the sustainability of the club, because there's more people staying on the Wirral now to play Wallasey. So I see that as a real success. It's the sustainability and the environmental impact the golf club's had, which is amazing, and something everyone, the members and the staff, should be proud of how far the golf course has moved and what a success story it's been. October, November, we had our last members forum where I was discussing the upcoming winter projects and the work we're doing, and where I saw the golf course. So again, I touched on, I quite like data, so we do obviously a lot of data collection, but I also do a lot of data collection with regards to ranking the golf course. Every year for the forums, I will rank the putting greens, I will rank the fairways, I will rank operational agronomic. So it's quite good because I can go back to the forum the previous year and look at what I was ranking the golf course, and every year we'll present what I think of the golf course in a value, and I think October was 6.5, touching 7 out of 10 for the golf course as an overall output. And I stood up and spoke to the membership. There's about 70, 80 people turned up, and I said, you know, we're 6.5, we're not quite 7 yet, but you know, we're doing well. I think we were 5 when I took over. I said, but I'd love to get to 9 out of 10. I really think, you know, we've got to invest in the departments, we've got to invest in the golf course, and I believe in 2 years we can get to 9 out of 10. But it's going to cost around 600k to get to, from a 6.5 close to a 7 where we are now, to a 9. I think we'll never get to 10, but and they're like, really? So what would that involve? So there's a level of operational machinery and staff numbers and investing in the department, but then elements of that is, as I touched on before, there's 3 shale paths that need removing, so the 600k will pay for the grass pathways to be completed. It would improve the agronomy. The greens are improving agronomically really well, but they're not there yet. So I suppose I give the golf course 6.5 out of 10 in October. We've just spent 150 grand on the golf course investing in project wear. I think that's certainly took us to 7. Maybe we've had a really good year of investment. The greens have really progressed. We've probably maybe even touching on the 7.5 now from where we were in October, but no one's played this new golf course. The golf course doesn't fully open till the 1st of April. But I think if we carry on the development and the upward curve that we're on now, and we invest that 600k wisely over the next sort of 3-4 years, and we have the same team culture, I believe we can start hitting a 9. So I think it is good for us to sort of have aspirations that would, you know, we can, if we get to a 9 over 9 for Wallasey with the whole complex and everything finished, then, you know, we're not far off a top 100 golf course in the world with the attention to detail and visitor experience and agronomy. So I think it's hard to set hard dates on it, but obviously we've got a bit of a plan in place, and we're in the process now of, we've sort of the golf club's completed the 5-year plan that I was brought in to do, and we're in the process now of creating the next 5-year plan for the future of Wallasey. And I think the aspiration of that is to get to over a 9 out of 10.
I would happily wander the grass pathways for the rest of my days at Wallasey. Creating a walkway in its most natural state provides an uninterrupted flow from tee to green, immersed amongst the dunes, rarely laid as a straight line. They weave through the course, building an anticipation along the route as to what is about to be revealed. Wallasey has indeed a rich history, but it's the future development of this golf club which holds much anticipation, and I have no doubt the vision of John and the Wallasey team will elevate this course to a level that many would have doubted possible just a few years ago. Listening to John talk so passionately is both inspiring and motivational. Be the best version of yourself, aspire to work at an elite level are very much part of John's mantra, and clearly have an impact on those around him.
Well, that's a bogey on 17. I think that's where we're going to call it a day, because well, walking up 18, there's enough pressure without a camera in tow, because the 18th green is right in front of the clubhouse, and a day like today it'll be packed. So I don't want people looking and saying, who's that Burke with a camera? So like I said, we'll leave it there. Don't need that attention. But what does need attention and gets plenty of it is Wallasey Golf Club, and just how good is it right now. First week in April, when this thing starts to burn up and get fiery in the summer, it's going to play so true linksy. The greens will be like lightning, and this is where it's at after sort of 5 years of development. It's interesting to see sort of how that continues and where they can take it to over the next 5 years, but I don't see them kind of stopping anytime soon. Anyway, enough words. The pictures are far better than looking at me. This is one really good looking golf course, and I will see you all next week.